Hello, good evening, everybody. Again, in the meeting in the session of Stuart Close philosophy, and we're going to discuss the same chapter, that is chapter number 9, that is from the Stuart Close, Cure and Recovery. We are on the page number 128, the last line, that is the end products of disease and mechanical treatment. This is what we have to learn. The concepts related with the cure and recovery, he tried to explain in front of you. Recovery is just a spontaneous, or sometimes it happens with the palliative mode of treatment, either homeopathic, either allopathic, either any other pathy. If you are going to just remove the symptoms without curing the patient, then that is a recovery. But when you try to treat it considering the concept of disease, that is dynamic derangement of the vital force, and then treating him on the basis of all 7 cardinal principles of the homeopathy, and giving the right remedy in right potency and right repetition, and patient again goes into the state of health. That is what is called as an ideal cure. And this difference he is trying to explain over there, and exactly he is explaining that any pathology is only the end product. It is not the disease. Disease is prior to it in the dynamic derangement of the vital force, and which is expressing in the form of some cellular or tissue change. So he wants to confirm, or he wants to impose on your mind, don't take into consideration what pathology you are treating. That is not a aim of your treatment of, or that is not the thing which will guide you to find it out a right remedy. So if the patient comes with the fatty degeneration of the heart, it doesn't matter for you. If patient comes with the liver cirrhosis, it doesn't matter for you for the prescription point of view. You must know it that patient is having liver cirrhosis. You must know the prognosis. You must know the pathophysiology, everything. But that will not guide you to the right remedy. If you want to find it out a right remedy, you have to go for the dynamic aspects of it. You have to find it out functional symptoms prior to the pathology, and on the basis of which you have to choose the remedy, and that remedy is the patient's remedy. And this is what he wants to explain over there in further part, and what should be your object of your treatment. So we'll start on page number 128 from Stuart Close, the end products of disease and mechanical treatment. The tangible म्हणजे visible, tangible physical results of disease, as thus defined, may or often do disappear spontaneously when the internal dynamic disturbance is removed by curative medication, but they are not primarily the object of homeopathic treatment. Very important sentence. Patient comes to you with some tumor, with some growth. Growth is not your aim to treat or object of your treatment. Your object of your treatment is to find it out what the patient is suffering from, what may be the dynamic derangement prior to it, and how it is expressed at the functional level, with which you can find the right remedy, and you give that remedy to treat that internal dynamic derangement. The growth will spontaneously disappear, or growth will take long time to disappear. It doesn't matter once you treat the dynamic disorder. It may be necessary eventually to remove them mechanically by surgical art. So later on, if you treat the dynamic derangement first, and later if it is not disappearing, if you remove it, it doesn't matter. But if you do exactly opposite, that if you remove the end product without treating the internal disease, then metastasis is bound to happen. That is called as a palliation, and palliation is always followed by an aggravation. This is the rule. So if you treat the internal dynamic derangement with a right simillimum in right potency, then you have treated the original disease, and then if you remove it with the scalpel, it doesn't matter. It may be necessary eventually to remove them mechanically by surgical art. Surgical or mechanical measures become necessary when the tangible products of disease are so far advanced or so highly developed that they become secondary cause of the disease and obstacles to the cure. If the tangible pathology, that is visible pathology, is so strong that it obstructs the main important part. For example, there is a growth in your throat and obstructing the trachea, obstructing the esophagus, then it is necessary to remove that growth, because otherwise patient is not able to take a breath or patient is not able to swallow anything. In such types of cases, it is necessary to go for the surgical measure, but not only surgical measure, along with the internal dynamic treatment with the simillimum. So both things are necessary. It depends upon the situation. In all cases in which disease has ultimated in organic or tissue changes, which have progressed to the point where surgical interference is necessary, homeopathic dynamic treatment should precede and follow operation. Bearing in mind always that such changes are the direct results of preceding and accompanying morbid functional changes, and that the patient is not cured unless normal functioning is restored. So, if there is a patient who is having some surgical disorder and it has been said for him or told by the surgeon that you have to remove this growth, but they never considers why this growth has developed. In fact, there is no cause behind that growth in modern science. Whenever growth is there, they consider it is the cause of the disease and they remove that. Actually, it is not cause of the disease. Cause is prior to it in dynamic derangement of the vital force, which was reflected as an end product in that growth. So, without treating that internal dynamic derangement, if you remove that growth with the scalpel, patient will settle. Time being, the palliation will be there. But the internal disorder, which was not treated properly with homeopathic treatment, will recur again, or sometimes it will change the axis and it will go into the more vital organs. And this is the common thing which happens when you treat the pathologies with the surgical measures. Breast cancer, generally the mastectomy is very common. They remove the breast. If instead of doing mastectomy first, if you take that case, find it out a right remedy for the case and start right remedy to the patient, for some time you would have treated and you know now that the internal derangement is treated. Many times it happens that that growth may start regressing. If it not, and patient wills to operate, afterwards if it has been operated, it doesn't matter because you have already covered the internal dynamic derangement and there will be no further metastasis. This happens many times in my practice. There I have treated one case I will share. She was a lady, she was a professor. She came to me, it was nearly about 20 years back, and she came with the lump in breast which was quite hard, and she said that it is I'm getting this since last 6 months I'm having this, but I have shown to the gynecologist and she said no, nothing problem, etc. But now I'm worried. So doctor, can you suggest anything? So we have done first the sonomammography. They have labeled that you have to go for biopsy. So I have done the biopsy and it was found to be a breast carcinoma. So I advised her to start with homeopathic treatment first. Later on, whatever you have to do, you can do and continue with homeopathic treatment. She agreed. We have started immediately the homeopathic management for it. Then they went to the Pune, again seen by a cancer surgeon and again another gynecologist, and opinion was to go for mastectomy. They removed the whole breast. Then with the PET scan and all has been done, and then they removed the breast. They have given the chemotherapy also. She has continued homeopathic treatment nearly about 1.5 years. And till today, after 20 years, she is still normal without having metastasis. If you start treatment early and then if you go for surgical measures, it doesn't matter because you have treated the internal dynamic derangement with the help of right remedy. So this is too important. This is what you have to understand. And this he is explaining over there, that in the all cases in which disease is ultimated in organic or tissue changes which have progressed to a point where surgical interference is necessary, homeopathic dynamic treatment should precede and follow the operation, bearing in mind always that such changes are direct results of preceding and accompanying morbid functional changes, and that patient is not cured unless normal functioning is restored. And if you precede the homeopathic treatment, patient again goes into the normal state and patient can again starts working. So he has cleared the concept that if even though there are end products in the form of some pathologies are there, and if you want to remove it by scalpel, better to start homeopathy early, treat the internal disorder. Then if needed, you can remove it with the help of surgery. The object of treatment. The primary object for or purpose of homeopathic treatment is restoration of normal functional balance that is held. So object should be to bring back patient against to the state of health. The basis of homeopathic prescription is the totality of the symptoms which represent the functional disorder, the abnormal process of disease itself, not its ultimates or end product. So whatever the patient complaints are there, those you have to take into consideration. So all the functional manifestations of the disease are necessary. So how will you put a question to the patient? Generally, it is my habit to ask the question in a simple way. Ask the patient, tell me everything right from the start of your disease. तुला जिथपासून आजाराची सुरुवात झाली तिथपासून जसं जसं झालं तसं सगळं सांग. So it is in simple language, you ask directly right from start of your disease, you tell me each and everything, how the disease has progressed. If you get all those things in your totality, those are necessary to find it out a right remedy. Pathology will not differentiate one remedy from the another. If it is the case of ovarian cyst, on the basis of ovarian cyst, you will not going to get the remedy. There are many remedies for ovarian cyst, but it is your prescription never depends upon the name, that is ovarian cyst, because there is thuja, there is apis, there is lachesis, there is lycopodium, there are many more. And in fact, any remedy can treat that. It depends upon what similimum comes. And that similimum, to find it out, that similimum is not possible on the basis of end product. It is possible the way patient presents. If the patient presents that it happens to be there only on the right side with the stinging pains associated with the puffiness of the face, associated with edema on lower extremity, associated with the thirstlessness, and the patient is absolutely hot and there is a pain in the right lumbar region, it is stinging type of pain is there. If you get all those modalities, then you are able to come to the remedy. Which is the remedy which comes in your mind in such types of ovarian cysts? Simple remedy is anyone?
Palladium, sir?
No, no palladium. Palladium prescription goes on the basis of name of disease. Right ovarian cyst with stinging type of pain, with thirstlessness, with associated with the
Apis.
hot. Yes, it is apis mellifica. Simple is apis mellifica. So your prescription never depends upon the name of the disease. Your prescription depends upon what is the presentation, the functional symptoms. You have to find it out, those functional symptoms. This is what he is explaining over there, the totality of symptoms which represent the functional disorder. The abnormal process of the disease itself, not its ultimates or end products. The physician who prescribes for the tumor or any other tangible product of the disease is misdirecting his energies and counting failure. So this, if you prescribe on the basis of name of the disease, then you will fail. You are not going to get the result because you cannot individualize. Liver cirrhosis is liver cirrhosis. There are many more remedies covers the liver cirrhosis, and there is no remedy which produces liver cirrhosis because it is not a product of proving. In proving, you don't get the liver cirrhosis. In proving, you don't get the ovarian cyst. You're going to get the functional symptoms, and you have to catch those functional symptoms, which are the which gives you or which are the guide for your right remedy. The physicians are constantly mistaking the product of the process of the disease. The product can only be changed by changing the process. Destroying the product does not change the process. Correct the faulty process, and the product will take care of itself so far as homeopathy is concerned. So he is explaining exactly how you should approach. He is saying that correct the faulty process. Where is the fault? Fault is prior to it. Fault is in dynamic derangement of the vital force. Your duty is to find it out what is the expression of it before developing this end product. End product is not, never happens within a day. That yesterday there was no ovarian cyst, today there is ovarian cyst. It is not like that. It is a long process, tedious process with which it has developed. The cause might be anyone which was way back. So you have to find it out what was the process with which it has developed. What were the prior symptoms? Then you can find it out a right remedy. So this is what you must know. Correct the faulty process and products will take care of itself. So far as homeopathy is concerned, this defines the sphere of homeopathy, and this is what we mean when we say that the cure of the disease is dynamical problem. So dynamical derangement of the vital force, which reflects in the form of signs and symptoms, that is what is called as language of the disease, with which you can find it out a right remedy. This is so simple. I think I have shared one case with you. It was a case of osteomyelitis, diagnosed case of osteomyelitis. And there is a big hole on the left thigh. Actually, it was operated and taken out nearly about the 1 glass of pus from it. And then it was sealed. And again, within span of 1 or 2 months, it opened again. It has drained. And then doctor told him that it is not possible to cure this and it will remain persistent as an sinus over there, draining the pus every time, and you have to remain with it forever. And he was the child only of 8 years. It was very early in my practice, very early in that. But luckily, I was good enough with the Boix Mater Medica. The child was showing, whole case of the child was showing very typically the SINA. Whole features SINA. I'm always there with the good with the biochemics right from start. So what I have done, I have given the SINA along with Silicia 6. That's all. That was the treatment with which I have started. I have continued SINA 30, 200, 1M. Within span of 3 weeks to 1 month period, the whole wound recovered. That fellow, he was 7 years old. Now he is 37 years old and doesn't have osteomyelitis thereafter. See, here you have to find it out a remedy on the basis of totality of the symptoms, not on the diagnosis. You have to understand this concept, and if you are able to understand, then you must think logically. Then it works, and this is the method, this is the object of your treatment should be. A law of cure implied. The accomplishment of even one true cure by medication implies the existence. The accomplishment of even one true cure by medication implies the existence of governing principle or law of cure by medication. The occasional occurrence of accidental cures vary early attracted the attention of medical men and led them to seek for such a law. Glimpses of law were had by individuals from time to time down the ages, but it eluded the searches or failed of demonstration until Hahnemann finally grasped it comprehensively and made it the basis for therapeutic method, which he named the homeopathy. A simple example was the cinchona bark. Cinchona bark was known to the people that it is the medicine for the malaria, but they were not known why this is working. Why the cinchona bark used to cure the malaria? The thought was that it is bitter in taste, and because of which the people recovers from it. The logic is very simple. Any bitter thing can cure the malaria otherwise. But it is only cinchona which used to cure the malaria. No other bitter things used to cure the malaria. So logic is so simple. Hahnemann said this is wrong. And luckily, Hahnemann came to the same sentences. He experimented with the cinchona, found the truth, the both sentences that cinchona has the capacity to produce the malaria-like features, and on another pages, cinchona bark is the remedy for malaria. Two contradictory sentences, when found to be a truth, then he immediately got inductive reasoning that there must be a law of similars. He worked for 6 years to find it out the truth of it and ultimately declared it in 1796. And then people started understanding cinchona bark is the remedy for malaria because it used to produce malaria-like symptoms in the healthy person. But it took long years to understand why it is working. This is the same thing which he has explained over there. Many were deluded by mistaking natural recoveries for the cure. Their attempt to imitate invariably failed. Others abandoned the idea of general principle of cure by medication and denied its existence, refusing to accept the demonstration when it was finally made. That is the attitude of average member of the dominant school today. He denies the existence of general principle of therapeutic medication. He do not profess a cure. He says we only aid nature to bring about the recovery. In this, he is at least honest and consistent in his use of terms. There are many people who were not agreeing with Hahnemann when Hahnemann told this method of law of symptom similarity or law of similar. Till today, the problem is there. Many modern science people, they never understand the concept of homeopathy because of many reasons. First reason is that we are talking in different language and they are learning in different language. This is the basic problem. We are still using the old terminologies which they never accept. We still use the concepts of dynamics which are not easy to digest for the materialist, and because of which they are not accepting the concepts of homeopathy. So this was tremendous during Hahnemannian time because Hahnemann have imposed absolutely a different thought which was not possible for them to catch. Symptom similarity, the dynamization and potentization and making the dose so small. It was very difficult to digest those who used to give the very large doses of medicine. And that's why it was not accepted. They were in their thought of doing the same things again and again and same mistakes again and again. The thought was that something material entered inside the body, remove it by any means. That is by giving purgatives, by producing the vomiting, by producing the sweating, by taking the blood out, by applying the leeches. All those haphazard methods were present during his time. But they are happy only with that and they are not accepting the principle of cure which Hahnemann have told. And this was the problem. Because of which the actual cure which used to happen with homeopathy, they were not possible and not digested by the medical fraternity at that time. So there were a lot of problems during Hahnemannian time. Today also we are facing the same. If you want to tell allopaths, modern scientific science people regarding the homeopathy, then you have to talk with their language. You have to tell them what exactly we mean by dynamic, what exactly the method or what are the cardinal principles, how it works. If you are able to explain them thoroughly, then they accept. It took 32 years for me to reach to some allopaths, and they started taking homeopathy, and they have accepted the truths of behind it. I have treated many allopaths. Nearly about 293 doctors are there under homeopathic treatment with me, and they knows the truth. Yes, this is not possible in their pathy, and it is possible with homeopathy. It is possible because it is based upon cardinal principles. So he is explaining all those concepts in detail. We are nearly about the last part of this chapter, but still it will take long time because all those concepts we have to learn by heart. So that's all for today. And today evening we're going to meet again with the new remedy, that is apocynon. Apocynon is a very important remedy in pathological practice. Many times we can treat pathology with the help of apocynon. And that's why apocynon whole aspects, the clinical aspects I will going to share with all of you, because it is wonderful remedy we used to use in nowadays in the pathological practice. So be there at 8 o'clock, ask your friends to join so that everyone will get understanding about the apocynon with their clinical cases. So that's all for today. Thank you being there. Meet again at 8 o'clock.